South Korean man attacks shop clerk he thought was a feminist. Imagine that being your like, no, 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 I'm sorry. I thought it was a feminist. What? A man in South Korea has been arrested for a late-night attack on a female convenience store worker after thinking she was a feminist. CCTV footage shows the man in his 20s entering the store in Southeastern. God, he's in his 20s. I would have thought he was a boomer. Fuck, dude. He's just a fucking tater tot. If Jinju after midnight and punching. Yo, Fnupo, thank you for gifting 5 more. Jesus Christ, brother. After punching and kicking the woman. He also assaulted another customer in his 50s who tried to intervene. Police said he attacked the woman because she had short hair. Oh my God. This is just the average Kick viewer, and so assumed she was a feminist. What the fuck? Since you have short hair, you must be a feminist. I'm a male chauvinist. And I think this is insane. It's like I asked ChatGPT to write me a fucking daytime drama, an after-school special on why Andrew Tate is a cancer. I'm a male chauvinist. What? Until he was stopped by police? Jesus Christ. He had been in a drunken state and was previously diagnosed for schizophrenia. That makes sense. That makes sense. I bet anything he's chronically online, we'll see. Among economically advanced countries, South Korea is frequently ranked as one of the worst for working women with poor gender equality. Anti-feminist feelings has also increased in recent years, particularly among men who feel they have been disadvantaged by reverse discrimination. Reverse discrimination is a really funny word because that already brings into account the fact that discrimination can only happen in a truly systemic way from people who operate in positions of power or influence. That's so dumb. Like when people say reverse racism, what the fuck? There's prejudice. That's it. You just have prejudice. Like, how can you say that? That's not a real, like, the term is funny. Like, you just mean that it's not a black person being mad at a white person? I don't get it. Or it's not a white person getting mad at a black person for being black? Like, it's so strange, man. Feminism is dividing the country. South Korea? Maybe. After Friday's attack, the woman in her 20s suffered serious ear and ligament injuries. Jesus Christ. Reverse racism is just racism? I think that the ideal way to just frame all of this shit is prejudice. I think racism should probably be systemic in order for it to be discussed. Otherwise, it's just people being like, I don't like you because I'm scared of what I don't know. You know, the intervening customer also suffered face and shoulder fractures. But there's also, like, clear distinction. Like, you know, like someone being like, I hate white people is typically not them actually hating white people, but using the concept of whiteness as a placeholder for power in a world in which whiteness is power is represented by whiteness. You know what I mean? Like, that's really it. A court on Monday approved an arrest warrant allowing police to... Jesus Christ, dude. Women with short, cropped hair have been the target of attacks before in South Korea? What? There are many misogynistic commentators associate the hairstyle with feminism. That is so... I find short hair to be so hot. Short hair, jacked. It's like being mad that if you droplets of pee are hitting you while you piss on another person. Sure. That's not a bad way of putting it, I guess. They don't look like my idols. They must be a feminist. That's so odd, man. A torrent of abuse online. I'm like unironically way into short hair. That's so fucking dumb. I don't know if I want to drop 15 minutes on a Vice documentary as they tend to be kind of shit.
Thousands are here today in Seoul protesting against what they describe as a growing anti-feminism movement in South Korea. Women Women fear that their rights are at stake because men are claiming to be victims of reverse discrimination and state that feminism has gone too far.
The whole premise of the reverse discrimination is so funny to me because that means that, like, you recognize that there's, like, a power asymmetry, you know? It's reverse because discrimination happens when men do it. You know, it's just odd.
In South Korea, a battle between men and women is spilling out onto the streets. Gender equality has always been elusive here, but a younger...
Like, I don't know. I will always support the desire for a breadth of perspectives and, lived experience. And, yo, Fnupo, thank you for the 5. Holy shit. I appreciate that, dude. You have single-handedly carried this. What the fuck, man? I'll always support the, pursuit of a broad, varied, and diversified, set of perspectives to be at the forefront of different companies or represented in college campuses. I do think that it is important as a secondary means of, let's say, like refining products to better fit the medley of people that the product will hit, as well as, creating an environment through which, a host of different perspectives and experiences will be shared and learned from. Do you know what I mean? I'm a big, big, big fan of it. So if you have two candidates that are similarly qualified, especially in like a job context, or you can observe the qualifications of one person and the qualifications of another, take into account their difference in, experience and opportunity, and say that they're equally qualified, I'm cool with there being, preference for what's less represented.
A louder generation of women is demanding that things change. This focus on women's rights was triggered by the global Me Too movement, which began back in 2017.
It's just wild how many women have been assaulted. Like, I know very few women who haven't. You know what I mean? It's like very few. It's so omnipresent. So this makes a lot of sense.
Women across the world shared their
It's a good
stories.
thing.
Women here also stepped forward.
It really does take a few people to stand up, man.
옆자리에 앉아서 허리를 감싸 안고
증거는 될 수 없지만 저한테는 있었던 사실이에요.
And I think a lot of men didn't realize how small behaviors that they have like kind of like codified into what was seen as like, appropriate or otherwise normal behaviors, how those are a wholly, disruptive and upsetting to people, like even just, the amount of physical touch that we've normalized as being something that a lot of people weren't okay with. You know what I mean? And how it's completely normal to, set new and evolving boundaries as people begin to feel as if they have agency in how it is they're treated, right? Women, especially in this context. It makes a lot of sense.
The allegations implicated politicians and priests. Actors and artists were
These priests can't stop, dude.
But as the allegations grew, so did resentment among some men.
Oh god, look at that. Look at how fucking crusty that gaming mouse is already, dude. Thing's cummy as fuck. Oh
So did
god.
resentment
What a fucking hysterical
among
cut.
some men.
To be like resentment among some men. Boom. This thing's fucking... Look at this. It shows that feminists are obsessed with the penis. What is this fucking fresh and fit Korea?
남성의 성기에 좀 집착을 하는 부분이 있다.
And they're like, yup. Yeah, it so does, dude. You're so right. I'm scared of their ability to get attention. They don't have... Oh god.
그리고 저는 이제 남성성이
I think if
거세되면
masculinity
거세될수록
keeps
공간이 많이
disappearing,
일어날
many
거라
more
생각해요.
rape crimes will happen. What? The fuck? It's like people just throw shit out there. It's literally just unfounded populist rhetoric. Like having an unhealthy relationship to the concept of masculinity being gated behind sexual conquest is what essentially makes people rape in the ways that that's like fraternity culture in a nutshell.
Lee Hyun-jun is 29 and works as a manager at a pet food company. At the height of the Me Too movement, he joined a group that opposes feminism. They call it gender harmony.
사실
It's like Raytheon rebranding as world peace. It's so funny.
그 당시에는 페미니즘이 근데 그 인기에 힘입어 남성들에 대한 매도
Its growing popularity
뭐
caused an exponential
조롱,
increase in
모욕,
acts of ridicule and mockery
굉장히
directed
많은
towards
일들이
men.
벌어졌습니다.
I think that there are certain things that just shouldn't be used as a means of, you know, denigrating people, you know, that's is beyond their control being among them, but, you know, you being a fucking, I mean, a bigot is awesome grounds for that.
그래서 남성들이 화가 나서 여성들을 멀리하기 시작했어요. 그 상태를
I
보고
couldn't just sit and
있자니
let the situation go
가만히
on.
있을 수가 없었습니다.
Something
How are
had to
they
be
being
done.
humiliated by women?
뭐 고추가 3cm 뭐니
It was very specific. I'll be honest with you, though, man. I'm not a big fan of making fun of dudes' dicks. I think that it's something that they're just, you know, endowed with. They have no real say over it. You know what I mean?
거기에다가 남성들은
All
모두
men are potential rapists? Well, I mean, technically, all women are potential rapists. We're all potential rapists. But if we're just going by the stats, you know. Yo, Fanupo, thank you for the 5, man. Jesus. If you're just going by the stats, like, you know, the likelihood of you being raped is by a man is potentially higher.
경제적 강간 범죄자 남성들은 하등 쓸모없는 존재.
What do you think the
It's a lot of penile-induced fear
consequences of
and stress.
the Me Too movement were in South
Oh, God, they're doing him dirty here. Fuck me, man.
Korea?
Showing his depression nest.
네, 남성들이 여성을 믿지 않게 됐습니다. 그래서 미투를 당할 수
Any man could
있으니까
be at risk of being accused of #MeToo if you saw a woman wearing high heels fall down the stairs in
하이힐을
front of
신은
you.
여자가 계단 아래로 떨어지고 있는데 거기에서
Okay.
다음은 미투 운동을 당할
You'd
수
avoid helping her,
있으니까
or you'd leave her because
자리를
touching her
피해-
would be a risk, or just ask if she'd like help up. It's so funny. All of this anxiety is easily mitigated by just being generally kind. And just being like, "Would you like some help? Can I help you up?" It's like this belief that all women are going to most allegations against men, like dare I say, I think upwards of 90+%, right? Probably even greater. Like statistically, it's got to be like 95, 99% are going to be valid. Like women are raped so often, women are assaulted constantly. It's the one through line I've been able to observe in women across the board over my time, just like, you know, being a human, talking with people about their experiences, is that everyone has some kind of traumatic experience with a man on a sexual or physical level. You know what I mean? It's just real odd. But what about Kobe? Are we going to call it a false allegation? I'm pretty sure that was relatively well substantiated. Just because something doesn't lead to conviction doesn't mean that it wasn't substantiated. Do you know what I mean? What class are you going to try for Season of Discovery? Dude, maybe a shaman. I love Horde, and I love shaman. Do a little shaman tanking. That could be sick. Settlement does not mean guilty. Settlement also doesn't mean innocent, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's important to know that oftentimes, especially when individuals have like a chorus of people come out and say that something happened, right? That in all likelihood, something... Look, if you have more than one person bring up problematic behavior, it's probably pretty fucking true. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people who have been in the public eye for extended periods of time with no issues like this. None at all. It's incredibly strange for that to be the case, in my experience and opinion.
And you
But
mentioned
who knows?
false rape accusations. I mean, do you think that's a significant amount?
지금 많다고 생각합니다.
I'd say yes,
다른
many are
나라에
false,
비해서
especially
좀
compared
많을
with other
수도 있다고
countries.
생각해요.
Okay, we've seen data though from the Supreme Prosecutor's Office that less than 1% of rape cases in South Korea are false.
그러니까 강간 무고가 1%가 안 된다는 말씀이시죠?
Statistics, you say?
실제로 네 피해자의 증언만이 오직
The situation with the
유일한
victim's
증거가
testimony
되는
is the one and only
경우가
proof that is being brought forward. Yeah, but that wouldn't be that wouldn't be sufficient for conviction. I
사람이
don't.
있을 수도 있겠구나라는 생각이 들고 있긴 합니다.
I think that some of those people might be
Hyunjin and his
unfairly.
group have plenty of supporters. His
Of course they
YouTube
do.
channel has more than
I think that it's a great way of continuing to vend insecurity and fear. So here's the thing. Two of the most potent conduits for engagement are fear and insecurity. I mean, insecurity being a fear of rejection, abandonment, etc. But as long as you keep people glued to their phones, laying in wait for more information on how it is they could be fucked if they step away from their phone or they go outside, you will continue to keep people, enraptured, consuming your content, right? It's horrifying.
61,000 followers. Today, they showed up to live stream the International Women's Day rally.
You know what? Hey, man. If it was Steven Crowder, he would have shown up in drag. You know what I mean? And he would have kissed his best friend while he was there. You know. So let's not rob ourselves of good opportunity.
저는 개인적으로 되게 뭐랄까 이런 감정들만 있는 내용들이라고 할까요?
그 예시로 차별금지법을 강력하게 통과를 시켜야 된다라고 얘기를 했었는데 이게 사실은 표현 독재법이죠.
So Hyunjin is trying to find someone to speak to right now.
남자들한테 하실 말씀 많으실 것 같은데 좀 듣고 싶어요. 안 들어주실 거예요? 너무 하시네.
I'm not sure how Korea's legal system works, but Japan can hold you for like a month on an accusation of a crime.
자, 그러면 부스를
It happened to Joey
돌아보겠습니다.
Chaotic, man.
한국
Dude was
남자들한테
around
하고
for a
싶은 말.
minute. What's happening here? I'd like to hear it. Okay.
남자들한테 하실 말씀 많으실
Sure you have a lot to
것
say
같은데
to the men.
듣고 싶어요.
I'd like to hear it. Okay. God, he's doing a debate me. This guy sucks.
너무 하시네. 젠장. 자, 그러면 부스를 돌아보겠습니다.
They probably
한국
know
남자들한테
him.
하고 싶은 말이에요.
진짜요? 저 진짜 해도 돼요?
진짜 하세요. 진짜 하세요.
해줬으면 좋겠어요.
좀 씻고 다녀라.
Bars low. God, bars so low. Bars low all the time. God.
씻고 다녀라.
그게 이제 성평등을 위해서 남자들은 씻고 다녀야 된다.
네, 씻고 다녀라. 오줌
Take showers. Close the door when you pee. It's all about civic awareness. Bars buried in dirt, man.
싸지 문 닫아라. 시민은 화장실 예를 들어 화장실 갔는데
Like, I go to the bathroom and it's unisex. I go inside, the door's open while someone's peeing.
공동이야.
I don't want to have to look at someone peeing. This is so...
안전해야 되고.
여자들이 어떤 고통 겪는지
What did he say? You want it to be what?
안전했으면
You want it to be a safe environment.
여자들이
Yes.
어떤 고통 겪는지
Men
알아요.
need to know what women are going through. Need to empathize. Yeah. Sounds like you're being a gender control freak. Wow. Yo, Fanupo. Jesus Christ, baby. Thank you for the fucking subs, man. What are you doing? I think you're getting worked up. You're angry. Oh, what? This is the worst. These are the worst people. She just said she wants you to close the door when you pee. What's happening? Did you see NASCAR's being sued for being discriminatory against white people? What? What? NASCAR is white people. What the fuck are they on about? Why would you... That's biting the hand that feeds. Like, what the fuck? That's one off from suing the fucking GOP for being discriminatory against white people. This is insane. What?
여기까지만 나오시잖아요.
아니 약간
안전을 원하시잖아요.
아니 프레임이 약간 쉬워졌어. 통제주의라는 얘기
This is the first time I've heard anything like gender control freak. Well, yeah, he's just being shitty. This is insane. If anyone can identify as a woman, what is the point in feminism? To protect women. Even those who choose to identify as a woman. Here's the thing. Only women will identify as women. You know what I mean? You could say that they have, like, they are chromosomally or biologically male, and that's completely fair. I don't think anyone would erase the concept of that, right? Cyber Stevie, like, I think it's the most important thing for people to know. If anyone is saying that they are a trans woman, they are also biologically male. We're never saying that that isn't the case, but their experience of themselves in the world and where it is they feel most honestly and authentically actualized is as a woman, you know? And those who identify as women are still at, similar risk. Does that make sense? Of being, sexualized and assaulted and, I mean, it's not as if trans women aren't actively fetishized, pursued, beaten, treated as less than. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, that's why. I mean, people who, I mean, you've certainly met, seen, walked past trans women you did not know were trans, I assure you.
난 처음 들어봤어.
So Hyunjin is speaking to
Thoughts on the swagging out epidemic? Well, one, I think it's natural to say that we smell it, It's, I think, maybe the most distinguishing facet of it is that I smell it. I think everyone smells it. The smell is potent,
to some feminists right now, and it's getting a little bit heated. They're having a disagreement.
Don't be coercive. Don't be threatening. Jesus. These guys suck, man. I said let's have a conversation. Their inability to have a conversation, brother. This is so bad. Women refuse to. The destruction of women's freedoms. Male-female harmony. And male-female harmony is men telling women what to do. That's how things are harmonious. You talk to me.
Was that successful?
Just a bunch of women wanting to not get raped at work, and this guy's like, what can men do better? I don't know, man.
그렇게 뭔가 만족스럽지 못하네요. 성평등에 대해서 정말 생각한 사람이라면
It's funny because, I find that whenever you see these being done by, men in American men speaking English, there's something about it that it's still fucking horrid, but you can maybe track with it in the way that, like, they're like, when you can't read tone, just seeing the words alone and reading it, like, I can't read tone in the language perfectly, and so it's like, why the fuck is it escalating so suddenly, Like, the edit's worse. It's so strange. Take a shower, close the door when you pee, implicitly and explicitly don't rape. It doesn't even make sense to be upset about this. Like they're going for the bare minimum right now. You know what I mean? Like these are fucking auto workers asking for Saturday and Sunday off.
오줌 싸는 거, 샤워하는 거 이런 이야기를
Wouldn't you hope is one of the Columbine shooters?
라는 생각이 듭니다.
But
What?
했으라면
I wonder if someone who really thought about gender equality would talk about urinating and showering like that. I think, wasn't the question, like, what can men do to help? And she was just like, these are two things that I think are better, like closing the door when you pee, just being aware of the fact that women are around and, don't want to watch you pee.
이런 이야기를 할 수 있을까라는 생각이 듭니다.
But hygiene isn't what women are talking about here.
So can you tell me why?
Yeah, they have unisex
what
restrooms.
are women facing in South Korea?
실제로는 많은 기업에서 성별 임금 격차를 이유 없이 지불하고 있고
The gender wage gap makes a lot more sense when you realize that at a certain point, men are choosing to who it is they, promote, give raises to, etc. And businesses aren't meritocratic. They are incredibly, like, unilateral, almost autocratic nightmares with few owners and people mostly just operating on the basis of who they like to be around. You know what I mean? So if you have men who are in positions of power, they're going to be like, yeah, well, I like Tom. Tom gets the raise. I want to hang out with Tom more. Tom gets the promotion. That's where the wage gap really starts. It's not like people are saying objectively women get less money. It's how the wage gap in the context of patriarchy is created. It's through a favoritism, through those kind of subjective, let's say, like, appointments.
노동시장에서 성불평등도 이유 없이 고용차별이 진행되고 있어요.
What do you think is at stake for women in South Korea?
자기 존엄에 보장할 수 없다.
Yeah, Tom's got a big ass dick, man. That's the thing. The Che Boy structure. Are you describing, like, the ways in which people are promoted? Does that make sense? Like, or the what is it? Like it's kind of like a weird, like, dynasty of sorts, is it not? Like the executive structure, how things are passed down, a lot of family businesses, things of that nature. Is that correct? I'm not sure if I know too much on this, so
있어요.
What do you think is at stake for women in South Korea?
자기 존엄을 보장할 수 없다.
Their dignity isn't guaranteed, their rights aren't guaranteed, and women are still dying, women are still being raped. Yeah.
그래서 자기의 오롯한 생존을 보장받을 수 없는 상태로 지금 서게 되겠죠.
The facts
Rich Financial Clique is a large industrial South Korean conglomerate run and controlled by an individual or family. The chaeboy often consists of multiple diversified affiliates controlled by a person or group.
support these concerns.
Isn't the gender gap because women on average get pregnant and are so vacant at a certain time of their job, like if someone is grinding for a rank but had a break so they fall behind? I think it's a relatively niche instance in which that happens. I think that women who excuse themselves from the workplace aren't necessarily going to be tabulated in that. Like, we're not counting the women who aren't working in that. It's more that when you're talking about the individuals who are placed in positions of power or influence relative to others, who's going to be getting, let's say, like preferential bonuses, treatment, raises, etc. Probably those that get along with the individuals in positions of power or influence, those who give them. And when those are historically men based on, the systems of power that have made... So you have to think about how things compound on a material level, right? Like, women weren't allowed to have like bank accounts until 1972 in their own name, and so most of life was gated behind having a husband and kind of being subservient to their ambition. And as we allowed women the capacity to pursue education, were given similar resources, encouraged to pursue things that were otherwise male-dominated, we start to see more and more women occupy these positions, but the compounding effect of men having already been in those positions means that those people in positions of power and influence to create the next guard in these kind of autocratic structures, autocratic being like one person making all the decisions, right? Because there's no democratization of the workplace in capitalism. So the person who is in a position of power will say, I like Tom. Tom's got a big old dick, and he also likes going to the strip club or something, They'll be like, I want more men around. I don't have to deal with women, yada, yada, yada. And, men get promoted, men get raises, etc. That's where these kind of pay gaps start. Thoughts on female dating strategy? I mean, it is a... Female dating strategy, toxic as it may be, is just a literal fucking, response to the prevalence of the red pill and the kind of like dehumanizing rhetoric through which men have, applied, onto women over time, like their sense of like what a woman's value is, etc. Race or gender perspective, people usually hire the person they're more likely to be buddies with IRL. Yeah. But also there's just a lot of like complacency. Like I would say that like Korea's entire system of like ownership is very much like a boys club, in which like you have to consider the United States is a relatively big company. It is a big company, but it's a relatively big country in which there are a lot of companies that compete for financial influence. Not many, but far more than there are in Korea. Whereas in Korea, you have what, like you have like Samsung and a couple other like major tech companies that essentially make up the entire GDP of Korea. You know what I mean? And so they wield essentially like unilateral political and probably judicial influence. I mean, what people can get away with in high places is kind of astronomical because of it.
South Korea has the worst
LG,
gender
Kia,
pay gap
yeah.
among developed democracies. On average, women earn a third less than men. And when it comes to violent crime here, almost 90% of victims are women, compared to around 50% in the US.
Jesus fucking
Despite
Christ.
this, the country's new leader, Yoon Suk-yeol, is planning to get rid of the ministry responsible for promoting gender equality. In fact, he campaigned on it and won the presidency.
The Ministry of Gender Equality. It was a promise. Are you asking whether I lied during the... That's so funny, man. It's like a bunch of dudes just wanting to continue the like artifice of the boys club forever. Not the artifice, but the preeminence, the dominance of it. It's so interesting. It's like, I think it's a lot of men who can't get laid in any other context. They feel as if because just like having money is, I don't know. The fact that you see men and women as factions tells me that there's like a game that like there's something you want from them that they don't want to give to you. There's something you're hunting, you're pursuing. It's just insane. Like continue to encourage material dependence, so that way you'll never be at a loss for companionship. You won't have to consider being, kind or caring. Just withhold resources and force pairing, essentially.
Huh?
Hold on. I mean, to be honest, it's really not a first world problem. It's getting better and better for women in most Western countries. The whole gap of rights for women that is 100 years old will take its time to heal. And for now, it looks like they're getting better. And the gap slowly, honestly, the point to where women do better in education, have a heavier brain, less dependent of libido than men. What? Less dependent of libido? Women are horny as fuck, dog. What are you on about? Women are crazy horny. I mean, maybe I'm, speaking to the wrong audience here, but women want to fuck. 10 times less, though, on average? Well, you got to consider the fact that the man is 10 times less likely to bring a woman to orgasm than a woman is a man. It's a much easier deal for a man. Also, 10 times less, what the fuck? It's a lot easier for a man to pursue casual sex. He's going to come, Make a woman come. You'll see how horny they are. Your mother has not stopped calling me for the last 6 months. I swear to God. It's like my dick can't take a fucking 5. They will surpass men eventually, need to be seen, and there will be opposite gap eventually. I don't know. What? Yeah, that as well, but women get easier and faster orgasms by masturbating themselves. Well, you can masturbate yourself. Why are you pursuing sex elsewhere? What are you even on about? Like, what? Like, if they're horny, if they can orgasm and they will masturbate, then like, what's the point here? Less dependent on libido. Regardless, I think things are changing, but to act as if they aren't changing, they're changing just because they're changing and not because of active efforts to ensure that there are less systemic points of, let's say, discouragement from, like, women assimilating into otherwise male-dominated spaces is insane. Like, us encouraging women to pursue, education in relevant fields, and then them, despite the encouragement, having to endure the male dominance of it in the ways in which they feel, fetishized, targeted, ousted, etc., to the point of completing it is still a barrier in and of itself. It's like saying we've, eliminated segregation, so everything should be fine. It's like, no, there's still a lot of existing, systemic and social division that we still have to mend over time. But, these things take ever-evolving rhetoric, ever-evolving discourse. Look at just chatting section? What? Are you talking about how women are there? I'm confused. What? Yeah, wait, look at just chatting section? What about it? Are you talking about how a male-dominated viewership space might be looking at attractive women if accessible to them? The biggest streamers are just dudes. Like, almost all of them. Like, uniformly. They are all men. And they're crushing. Also, in the live cam world, women have an easier time to last longer than men biologically. Men's cams last a few hours, many hours. I mean, I think that the bigger issue is that the majority of the people who are consuming internet pornography tend to be young men, just based on how it is we socialize it. I don't know what the actual percentage usage is, but it seems to be far more common in that regard. I also don't know why, when we're talking about like gender equality, we're talking about women's ability to better be sexualized by men as a point of equality. Like, yeah, men are way more likely to reduce you to a body and harass you and spend as much money as they can trying to get a modicum of your time. It's like, I think that there's a way in which, we could have another compelling discourse on the ways in which porn usage is socialized and how it is we discuss, shame regarding libido and needing a more, let's say, like, I feel like the idea of reducing something to physical form is something that is, reviled and discouraged for women, but encouraged for men. So it's kind of an odd kind of paradigm you're touching on and not really worth unpacking here.
남자가 악이다. 남자는 사라져야 된다. 이런 militant feminist 이런 사람들이 한국 사회에 많아서
Ha Taek-young is a lawmaker from the ruling People Power Party and supports President Yoon's views on feminism. Do you want to get rid of the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family in South Korea?
그렇습니다. 저는 여성가족부의 대표적인 폐지론자인데, 그리고 이제 성 갈등이 심화되면서 대한민국이 세계 최악의 이제 저출산 국가가 된 것도 여성가족부 영향이 좀 크다고 생각을 합니다.
Do you agree that some of the policies your party has put forth aligns with what anti-feminists want in South Korea?
한국에서 페미니즘 반대한다고 할 때 그게 성차별을 옹호하는 게 아니라
So you're against feminism in Korea. That doesn't mean it means you're against giving privilege to one gender over another. That's just such a blatantly fucking disingenuous. The whole premise is gender equality. It's about helping advance and protect women to the point to where they are no longer at the mercy of male-dominated power structures. This is insane.
을 주는 것을 반대한다는 그런 뜻입니다. 한국의 페미니스트들은 이제 남성 역차별론자로
Refers discriminators. Oh wow, they're just grifters. It's literally just right-wing grifting. Like it's just vending fear to a voter base you can get put into power and fucking line the pockets of your rich friends. So dumb.
그래서 당연히 그런
Of course I'm against that.
신종 역차별.
So brave.
How do you think South Korea fits into the global discussion about gender equality?
그러니까 예를 들어 이란이나 최근에 아프가니스탄 같은 사회를 보면 여성을 학대를 하고 있고 이제 그런 사회에 심각한 여성 차.
What the fuck are you on about, dude? 89% of the violent crime in your country happens to women. There's clearly a targeting of women. How, like, what's this fucking, why are you fucking, what's the red herring here? We're like, what about your country? And they're like, you should look at other things that are worse. Like, brother.
차별, 사회.
Are pointing at you, your incredibly educated, fucking well-developed economy, you know, your educated workforce, like, you guys are still doing this shit. Like, we have a lot of issues in other parts of the world on the basis of religion and, you know, devastation of ongoing war, a rape of a land for resources by other countries, tons of other issues. This is insane.
에 대해서 우리가 좀 더 관심을 많이 가져야 된다고 생각을 합니다.
The women aren't privileged in South Korea. Something that activist Park Ji-hyun is reminded of every day.
최근에 한국의 이제 정치 상황을 봤을 때 이제 후퇴하고 있다고 느끼는 건데 정부 주요 인사들을 봐도 대부분이 남성이고 한국 사회에서 여성 국회의원이 지금 19%거든요.
As a student journalist in 2019, Park helped uncover one of South
This is
Korea's
legitimately
largest
so
online
fucking
sex crime
confusing.
rings,
Wait, when do you plan to play WoW? I plan to play WoW probably in an hour or two.
which launched her career in politics. But once she was in office, Park became the target of relentless digital abuse. Some of these messages are extremely disturbing. They include threats of assault and genital mutilation.
매일같이 뭐
Jesus fucking Christ.
이런 메시지를 보내는 분은 왜 나한테 이런 메시지를 보낼까? 내가 살아있는 사람이라고 생각했을 때 내가 나를 사람으로 생각하지
Don't they realize? No, you're an incredibly difficult fleshlight. That's how they feel.
않는 건가?
Do you think mainstream politicians presenting anti-feminist remarks has made anti-feminism go mainstream within South Korea?
이 백래시가 심해지고
It's
있는
fucking
것은
tragic.
부정할 수 없는 사실인 것 같아요. 네. 일본을 풀 대상이
It's
필요한데
literally just
그
right-wing
대상이,
grifting. It's
여성으로
insane.
사용하는 경우가 많이 있는 것 같고.
I'm also willing to bet that a lot of Korean men, especially younger ones, would probably point to this as being a fucking cancer, just like a lot of, you know, American men would point to people like Tate and the Whatever podcast as being problematic. That's probably what I'd like to imagine, and that this is a lot of older men who are, you know, against the concept of the status quo changing to the betterment of 50% of your populace.
But Park faces an uphill battle getting men in South Korea to agree with her. A 2021 poll found that
Not at all. Yeah, fresh and fit, shit like that. Does South Korea have an Andrew Tate? Yeah, that's what we had learned about at the beginning of this
nearly
video.
80% of men
It's
in
not.
their
It's very
20s
popular.
believe they
Tragic.
face serious discrimination. 70% of men in their 30s agreed.
Yeah, okay. This is literally the next thing. I'm glad I got to see this because that completely invalidates my speculation there. It's growing in youth. It's the way in which media cherry picks instances in which a false allegation occurs or the potential of a false allegation. Like, let's say the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial literally set the concept of feminism and gender parity back decades. The coverage of that was such a fucking shit show, and watching people rally around this, all women are these fucking, sociopathic, hormonal, unhinged whores who want to fucking maim the good reputation of men, actually a fucking cancer. Like, that was the narrative that it cemented in a bunch of young men, that this is the reality of women who claim abuse, and it's fucking horrid. Like, it is completely wounded the fucking minds of those who stay indoors ad infinitum, you know? I loathe it.
Serious discrimination. 70% of men in their 30s agreed.
Like, there's nothing about any amount of active consideration of women as people and talking with them as you would anyone else you know, learning about who it is they are, what it is they've endured. Almost all of them, all of the women I've talked to depth just about have had some instance of assault, abuse, or outright rape. Like, it's so fucking common. And then, to take anything that makes, that trivializes that narrative so that you feel as if you're above the fray. I'll never understand this idea of all men perceiving themselves as being a part of the problem when people say something like men suck. It's like it's a clear indictment of a power structure of men that seems to be callous to women's issues, wants, and needs. It's not saying you are one of those things, you know?
Do you think groups like yours that are against feminism have the potential to be spaces where women get harassed unfairly?
Yeah, the work culture is insane, especially in Korea. When your life sucks and people keep saying you identify with is bad, people start thinking that the thing calling them out is the reason why their life sucks. Yeah, I also think that there's just a great deal of malcontent amongst a lot of, late capitalist societies where you have a bunch of men being told they were born into privilege, but their fate is to toil ad infinitum for a fucking plutocrat that doesn't care about them. They're encouraged to take time away from their lives, from their hobbies, from their friends, so they can continue to benefit a company that will literally discard them as soon as profits drop and they need to fucking produce more shareholder revenue. That's the problem, is that everyone is still getting fucked by late capitalism. The single greatest, thing you could be is rich. It doesn't matter. Like, male, female, regardless of the color of your skin, the best thing you can be is rich, Everyone else is getting actively fucked. And so having to look at the ways in which you are getting slightly less fucked than other people is really difficult for a lot of people to do when they feel as if their life is still abject misery. I've had to, all the little that I do have, I've had to work for, yada, yada, yada. It's like, yeah, but look at the rate at which individuals are getting fucking beaten on the basis of the color of their skin, raped because they happen to have a vagina, or really just any penetrable hole, anytime there's a power that can be abused, it seems as if people are doing it and needing to bring awareness to and fighting for the protection of the individuals most commonly targeted is a completely sensible thing to do. It doesn't mean that your life is nothing but, let's call it triumphs, but we got to start thinking fuck, man, in the event that you feel as if life is this miserable, maybe we have to start looking at the systemic issues that are creating this kind of misery, this sense of fruitlessness, this disconnect you have from the people nearest you, your inability to have time to yourself, to, spend time with those that you love. Go on walks, engage with your hobbies. These are the things that are hurting you, man. Especially in late capitalist dystopias.
충분히 있다 생각합니다. 하지만 저는 개인적으로 이 그룹을 이끌면서 가져가는.
But here's the thing too. It's like working from home isn't necessarily a value in the absence of community spaces being encouraged and developed. We have to do a little bit of both here.
어떤 좌우명 같은 게 있다면 페미니스트가 페미니즘을 선택하지 않아도 되는 세상을 만들어 보자.
Where feminism isn't forced to choose feminism.
전체적으로 피해를 보고 있구나라고 생각해서 페미니즘을 선택합니다.
That women are being harmed as well. Well, they are. and as long as individuals are coerced into a life of servitude for men, they're not going to be happy in it. You know what I mean? Like, these things should be conscious choices. If you want to, be a wife and a mother, then that's absolutely fucking awesome. You just shouldn't feel as if it's your only fucking recourse.
하지만 저는 그러지 않아도 된다라는 걸 좀 얘기를 해주고 싶어요.
Everything you've said to me in this conversation sounds like you are an anti-feminist.
안티페미니즘과는 거리가 다릅니다. 안티페미니즘은 여성을 모욕하는 것도 서슴지 않습니다.
What? No, you're describing it based on behavior. No. But your stance is anti-feminism. You're actively campaigning against it. Like what?
여성을 지켜야 된다고 이야기합니다. 저는 남자로서 제가 사랑하는 여성을 지키기
Oh
위해
God, this is such Tate rhetoric.
Do you
You don't love any women. This is insane.
yourself a hero?
내가 영웅이라고 생각하는구나. 저는 영웅을 만들어내는 감독 정도가 아닐까 생각합니다.
So one day in the future,
What?
you might be a hero.
뭐
Yeah, exactly. Protect them from who? It's like, are you talking about maybe the present status quo that encourages the treatment of women like objects or tokens or trophies that you receive for your ability to best other men in, pursuits of wealth, strength, power, etc.? Like, which one is it? Because it kind of seems like we have a culture of, men who feel as if their masculinity is contingent on their ability to, sleep with or command the respect or attention of women. You know what I mean? And so individuals pursuing that may then act in a way that's problematic and lead to you needing to step in. I don't even get it. Also, he's just giving lip service. This dude doesn't give a fuck.
언젠가는요.
This is so dumb, man. Extra? What do we have?
그저께 저희가 모욕적인 일을 당했습니다.
An insulting incident? This dude sucks.
말이라고 했는데 소변 관리를 잘 못해가지고 그게 한편으로
Greater civic
자,
awareness.
여기 안에 굉장히 이 짧은 영상 안에 정말 수많은 메시지들이 담겨 있는 것 같은데 일단 첫 번째
충분히 성희롱으로 해석될 만한 여지도 있다고 보고.
I want to talk about what happened at the...
What? They're saying that asking men to pee with the door closed is sexual harassment? We're stretching,
rally.
man.
What were you trying to achieve?
하지만 그래서 페미니즘에 대한
Just a bunch
이야기를
of
듣고
dudes.
거기에
Their pain is
나은
palpable, man.
페미니즘을 발전시켜서 성평화로 이끌려고 하는 시도들을 하기 위해서
Improving feminism towards being less feminist.
정보를 모으기 위해 갔던 거였죠.
Right, but I mean, you showed up with a camera, you were live streaming the whole thing. I mean, and you came at the end of the protest. What were you really trying to do?
네, 정말 저는 대화 그 행사를 방해하고 싶은 생각은 없어요. 저는 페미니즘과는
What?
거리가 있는 사람이니까
Oh God, this is
그
so
행사를
stupid.
방해하고 싶은 생각은 없었어요.
That's so dumb. What? Dude, the antagonism of these fucking like self-righteous manosphere podcasters just being like, I just wanted to have a conversation. It's like, no man, you wanted to continue to force an incredibly antagonistic discourse with someone with no desire to engage in the good faith, no desire to hear them, just to bait sound bites. It's so dumb.
그분과 이렇게 이야기를 나눌 수 있는 기회가 되었는데 아마 그 대화를 듣고 좋은 답변은 드리지 못했을 것 같네요.
Are you surprised by her reaction, the feminists' reaction? I mean, you showed up in their space, right?
굉장히 놀랐습니다. 믿음을 가지고 갔는데 완전히 배신당한 느낌이었어요.
You didn't even introduce yourself though as gender harmony people.
How are they being insincere? They were like, I don't want to have to look at you pee. Incel culture started in Japan. I'm not shocked that it exists in these environments. If that's why, but that makes sense.
네, 그랬었네요.
They also have a similar culture of, There's a great deal of assault as well, and a similar kind of corporate structure that tends to be incredibly antagonistic towards or derogatory towards women on the basis of, being women. But it does seem like it's kind of a global phenomenon.
예. 근데 정말 그건 제 실수가 많은 것 같습니다.
And you also referred to the feminist in after that protest on Saturday as someone who was sexually harassing you. Do you think that's a fair description of what she?
Let's say what it really is, guys. Incel culture started in League of Legends general chat.
Said to you?
그냥 기분에 너가 성적으로 수치심을 느꼈으면
These League players can't handle being rejected by underage women, man.
그게 성희롱이거든요. 한국에서는 그렇습니다. 그래서 성희롱이 될 수 있다고 충분히 요지가 된다고 생각을 했고.
What are you afraid could happen in South Korea?
가장 두려운 것은 남성과 여성이 스스로의
Based. Lose their identities. Who cares? What's the fucking function, dog?
남성성과 여성성을 모두 잃어버리고 정말 성기만 다른 존재가 되어버린.
It sounds like you're terrified of not having systemic power over someone, because that's the only thing that affirms your power in the world as someone who's been told they need to have power to be of value.
예, 무섭습니다.
I am actually all for people saying fuck it all. Men in dresses, women in suits, who fuck it. It's what the fuck do you mean identity? Give me a Mr. Mom, a fucking a corporate executive mother. I just don't. I think this is all silly. Who fucking cares? This idea of there needing to be hard and fast rules is insane. We still have a set number of, let's say, responsibilities. Most of them aren't gated behind metrics of strength or power. It doesn't matter who fills what at this point, The only thing that matters is that I'm the one filling your mom's holes, all right? Nothing else matters. But that's the point. It's like, I think that everyone's fixation on this concept of division of labor is in reference to a time in which most labor was gated behind physical, like, stamina and strength, in which it probably makes sense considering that, testosterone modifies strength significantly, that a lot of the, physical tasks were then delegated to men, and everything that was left was like, okay, what can women do to kind of fill the gaps? But we've essentially industrialized everything. Now the concept of strength is much less significant to labor on the whole. There's still some instances in which that's going to be a consideration, but like, it doesn't matter who does what. This whole concept of roles is irrelevant. What we have are tasks, and tasks need to be completed. Who's best at completing them is something that doesn't have like some kind of like arbitrary, gendered concept anymore, Just engage in the shit that you find to be compelling or stimulating and leave it at that, But this idea of this is a man thing and this is a woman thing is silly, I don't get it. These are just tasks that have to be completed. That's it. I tune in, the first thing I hear is I'm filling your mom's holes. Well, the last thing you'll hear tonight is me filling your mom's holes, so welcome.